Is that what he said?
No, I need you to do it. I need you to do a clap. Just one clap. Thank you. All right, good.
Oh, do it. So you want to know where the clap started?
Mm-hmm.
So we can link it together.
Okay.
All right, we're good.
Do I need to clap it again?
No, you're good.
You sure?
It's rolling.
I was rolling.
Yeah.
Hey, what up? You sure?
Yeah.
You ready? Hey, what up, world? Hey, welcome to the first episode of the podcast, Athlete's Vision. I'm your host, Mike Nunley. I'm here with my co-host,
Tyler Benson.
All right, we have our guest here today. Before he introduces himself, let me give him a background on what the reason why we're doing this podcast. This podcast is to give a platform for every athlete out there that's looking to tell the world about their journey. And I think it's a way that we can be able to let their voices be heard. At the same time, we can just sit right here and have a good time, make the story as authentic as possible. And the guest that we have on the show today, I'll let him introduce himself.
My name is Noah Kim, and I go to Michigan State University, and I play quarterback there. And grew up around here with Coach Mike and Tyler. And I'm excited to do this podcast with them.
Well, that's good, man. So we're just gonna get started. We're gonna break it down, let everybody understand what your journey, how you got to the point where you at, where not only playing, ball at Michigan State, but what did it take to get there? So we want everybody out here to understand, that level. There's different levels of, talent, different levels of, the grind. We want people to know your story and your background. So you can just give us a little background on, how it started, from youth sports, to where we met, to playing in high school, and moving forward.
I remember I started playing football, I think like 4. I started playing a little flag football and stuff like that. And then I didn't start playing tackle until about 3rd grade or whatever. And I was playing football and basketball. I never really had a favorite between the two. And I think I met Coach Mike around 6th grade.
6th grade.
Yeah, 6th grade. I was playing against his team. Whooped up on him in the playoffs. Whooped up on him. And then, ever since then, I remember I started playing AAU. Well, actually, I played for a different AAU team at the time. And Coach Mike came up to me and was like, "Hey, come play for me." And I'm like, "All right, yeah, cool." And he never gave me a name, never gave me a place. He was like, "Yeah, I'm having tryouts. Just come out." I'm like, "All right." Never told me where, never told me nothing. And then, I ended up trying out for this new team we found online, and then showed up, and Coach Mike was there.
I was the coach. I mean, like I said, with that, I coach basketball. I coach over at Brentsville High School right now. But our journey did start on the basketball court. I mean, Noah's correct about that. But one of the things that, what him and I was able to do, we linked a little differently when it came to playing, just trying to be the best version of himself. So through in high school, and basketball was just another outlet for him to be able to, reach his potential on the football field. So with that, how did you able to to be able to separate both of those, right? Even though I believe if you stuck with it, most people might believe differently. But I think that you could have been someone that played D1 basketball if you really would have wanted, just because of your mindset, right? So there's a lot of other athletes out here that might have that same mindset, but what pushed you more to not only keep playing in high school basketball, but also, increase your grind to be able to get to the school you at now?
Yeah, I feel like basketball and football were something I just had fun doing growing up. And then once I got to high school and I figured out like how serious you have to take these sports, because high school is what's going to set you up for your future. And so, I was playing AAU with Coach Mike all the way up until freshman year. But the more I kept playing football, I did USA football and stuff like that, and the more I was just gravitating towards football and all the football trainings and stuff. And so I was started to miss basketball games, started to miss tournaments and stuff. And then I just kind of realized that football is my love and my passion. And so, once we got to high school and stuff, basketball became a secondary thing, a hobby. And to grind it all throughout high school to get where I'm at now.
And that was one of the reasons why I actually stopped coaching you guys that year, because I had probably 4 or 5 guys that were serious about basketball, right? Out of a team of 12 kids, right? So those 12 kids, you wanted all of them to be serious, or was taken away from the 6 that were, right? So, but we also knew that football was your first love, right? So knowing that's your first love, going into your 8th grade year, now going into your freshman year of high school, this is the fun part for me. This is where the journey actually started. You know, you was going in, probably weighed about 140 pounds at the time, right? You know, the weight room wasn't really your friend at the time. Like you didn't understand that, hey, I need to lift weights and get stronger, get faster. You just did it based off of, you know, just fundamentally sound by being out there with your quarterback coach. Big shout out to Barry Thompson for doing a hell of a job, you know, teaching you, you know, the ins and outs at the position. But going into your freshman year, your exact words to me, and I just think that a lot of people don't understand that you pretty much looked at me and said, I'm going to make the varsity team as a freshman. And I was just like, hey, as long as you're getting reps, it doesn't matter. He said, Coach, I'm going to play. So with that being said, explain to people, you know, that process, knowing that you was actually not going in, knowing that you wasn't the starter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I remember the first practice I was out there, I think with the freshmen. And then, you know, after that day, coach came up to me and was like, hey, you're not going to be playing freshman. And so I ended up going out there with the varsity team and was practicing both JV and varsity. And yeah, it was more of like a learning year for me. I mean, I'm playing JV, but then I'm only allowed to play 2 quarters because they got to keep me ready for varsity. And so on Friday nights, I was out there and back up to a different guy. And yeah, I mean, it was I think at the time it wasn't something that I was too worried about just because, like, yeah, I'm 14 years old, 140 pounds. Like, I know I can play, but it wasn't like a big deal to me at the time. But I think as the year went on, I started to realize that, you know, I can play with these guys no matter how old I am. I'm 14, but I feel like I'm better than everybody on the field. That's just my mentality, how I take at things. But yeah, after that year, it was a wrap. We just, everything went like this.
Yeah. I mean, that was the year that, you know, y'all won, you know, state championship. You know, now you got in on the varsity, play some games, you know, based off of just put yourself in position to be able to play. On JV, you actually, you know, separate yourself a little bit from that competition where you wanted to be around the best competition, right, at all times. Which leads into, you know, for me, which I think that, you know, people need to understand, you know, you knowing that going into your sophomore year, you're going to be the starter, right? And there was a lot of people going into that. So can you explain, like, pretty much that process, knowing you going in to be the starter, but it was a lot of people out here that had doubt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 1, I'm 15 years old, so I'm only a year older than I was before. 2, we just came off a state championship win back-to-back, and we lost to all those seniors. We had a young team. You know, it was full of sophomores and juniors starting mainly. And, you know, everybody's saying, oh, teams don't win states 3 times in a row. And then, you know, especially with the 15-year-old quarterback. And so, I mean, we were all hungry, and we all knew. We all knew what we wanted to do. We all knew we were going to win states again from the jump. There was not a doubt. I feel like we just that group of guys that we had, Taylor Moore and Eugene, and all those guys that I feel like we just bonded on a different level than those other teams. And then, you know, after game 1, there was no team that was going to stop us that year, and we knew that.
Yeah, so it's funny, right? So your first start as a sophomore, how you think it went? First play.
This guy. Yeah, actually, first play was an interception.
But it was
We
only
can laugh now.
But it was only an interception. Like, I mean, it was actually probably, you know, the best placed ball. You know, he put it in and it went through his receiver's hands. Right?
Yeah, it was just a slant. Slant, threw it to him. Yeah. Bounced off his chest, whatever, got picked off. I come out to the sideline. I'm laughing. I'm smiling. I'm like, I mean, that's just funny because, like, everyone's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this team's not winning.
After that, it was a lot of doubt. So they was like, what? So he looked up, you know, his parents in the stands, we all in the stands. He's like, I'm good. So he said, I'm good. So and then after that, you know, then they start to get, you know, what they was going to get for the rest of the year. You know, and I think that was something that was, you know, special. So during that year, what was the toughest game? You know, what was the toughest challenge during that, you know, your first year starting? What was the toughest challenge?
Toughest challenge?
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't know. We didn't really struggle that year. I mean, we went 15-0. We beat everybody from, you know, there was teams better than us. I mean, to speak, you know, truthfully, there was teams that were better than us. They're bigger than us, stronger, faster. But just the guys we had, I feel like for a 15-year-old kid, I feel like I played at a higher level.
Right.
And just to have full confidence in myself, and there was not a defense out there that could stop us. And so if the other team went 3-and-out, we were up 7. We already knew that on every team. So
Correct.
One of the things I always tell, because I coach high school soccer as well, and one of the things I always tell them is like winning is an attitude, winning is a mentality. Like you got to know how to win.
Correct.
Right. So like talk a little about how like y'all knew, like even like you said, like there was teams better than you, but like you're like nah, like we know how to win. Like what kind of like what was like going on in the locker room? Like you guys went 15-0. So like what were you guys doing in the locker room? Like how was that? How did that look from inside, like on the team, like knowing how to win?
Yeah, I think it all starts with the quarterback. I know it's a little cliche or whatever, but I think it all starts with the QB. And I had full trust and full belief that I feel like that's just how I was growing up. I started off doing martial arts as a kid, and martial arts and wrestling and stuff, and that's all one-on-one. There was no team involved stuff. It's just you and the other person, and so I'm not gonna let another person beat me in nothing. And so I feel like that mentality carried on through football, and I treat it the same way. Like there's not another man. I'm not gonna let another man beat me at what I do. And so I feel like that's just the approach that I took, and then that just dispersed them on the whole team. And after you just stacking wins, and then it gets to a point where you know that if you play your best football, there's not a person, there's not a team, there's not another coach, nobody is out there to stop you.
So, to piggyback off of what Coach Tyler was saying, where did your leadership kick in? Knowing that you're a 15-year-old, quarterback, playing amongst, grown men, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're playing against some 18-year-olds, potentially 19-year-old, seniors out there. Knowing that you're 15-year-old, you got to be able to control or help, push forward, 60 plus guys. You know what I'm saying? So how did that leadership kick in? Like what made you understand that you was in position, I want to say position of power, but you was in position of leadership, right? So when did you find out that you was in that position?
Me, man, I put myself in that position right when I got there, but I think as soon as the state championship game was over with, everybody kind of knew what was up going into that next season. But that's what a lot of people don't understand about leadership is, yeah, I'm a 15-year-old kid, so I'm not out there trying to tell them 18-year-old kids what to do. I'm not telling them how they need to do things, how they need to live their life, how they need to go about certain things. But I feel like I just knew my role, and where I'm not a rah-rah guy out there telling the whole team what to do, but instead I'm focused on what we got to do, focused on how we got to win, how we're gonna win. And so, as long as you get everybody on the same page, and that was winning for us, that's leadership.
Gotcha, man. So now that you go into the state championship game, you win the state championship game, right? And I think you got better throughout the year, not only understanding, as your play, I think just as your mindset, right? Once you get a taste of winning, like a lot of, us three sitting right here, we have got a taste of winning, right? We know how it feels to win. But we also know how it feels to hold each other accountable, right? So now going into your junior year, right? This is the year that, those scouts and stuff that's really going to be at games, right? They really want to know, okay, is this guy for real? Does he have what it take? And it's going to be schools. It's going to be like, he don't have the size. He don't have the speed. He don't have the strength, right? Let's talk about it before we get to the real deal about your junior year. Going into that mindset, leading up to that semifinal game, what was your mindset like?
Yeah, we basically had the same team going into my junior year, so we were even more confident. We weren't in over our heads, like we weren't like overly cocky and stuff like that. Like we were humble, but also we were, it's cockiness and preparation in a sense where like you're not gonna sit here and have any type of doubt going into any game. So it's like you're cocky in a sense where you're gonna win this game because that's the only way you can truly get to that point where you're winning.
Right.
You gotta believe and you gotta know you're gonna win before you actually go out and win. And so I feel like that's just the approach we had going into that junior year. And that's how it was all season, pretty much. We went 13-0 until that 14th game, and then whatever. We'll talk about that.
So in that 14th game, right? That's what we get to where this changed, right? And this started to change, and you was already, I don't think people understand that you was in season doing in season workouts, right? You started taking the weight room serious, understanding that you was trying to develop, right? We always talk jump, but you was like, hey, coach, I'm gonna make sure I hit 225 at least 5 times in my junior year, and I was like, let's get it. But knowing that you're leading up to that game, and in that game, like you said, it was a voice that was talking to you, right? And you didn't know what it was. So, and that was a year that that you got hurt, right? That 14th game was the game you got hurt. Before we switch over, can you just explain that process, and then at the same time, let them know what was your mindset after you got hurt?
Yeah. I mean, so a lot of people, it won't affect them the same way, but for me, that day was the day that changed my life, like completely changed it, like 180-degree flip. I mean, I broke my leg, my femur, and the doctors telling me they don't know if I'm gonna be able to play again and all that stuff. But yeah, it was a crazy day. I remember I showed up to the game, do my normal thing, whatever. It's raining a little bit, didn't matter. I'm warming up, and then I hear a voice like just saying my name. They're just calling out Noah, Noah. I'm looking around, nobody's around me, and my coach is walking by. I'm like, hey, coach. I'm like, you calling my name? He said no. He's like, that's just God telling you everything's gonna be okay. And so I've never heard anything religious come out of the guy's mouth. I was just kind of shocked. I'm like, whatever. I don't know what this guy's talking about, but whatever. And yeah, the team shows up, 30 minutes to an hour late to the game. And so everything's kind of thrown off, but whatever. We get into the game, and I think it was like first or second drive, whatever. I throw a 75-yard touchdown pass. And then I'm knowing like, yeah, this team's not stopping us. This team can't mess with us. Whatever. We get into the game, and second quarter comes around. We try to do a little bit too much, trick play or whatever. I get sacked, and then my legs all contorted up against my chest, sideways. I'm like, oh, snap, whatever. Broke my leg mid-game. So I get into the ambulance, and I'm not thinking about my leg. I mean, whatever. I'm not thinking about it. I'm trying to watch the game on my phone. They take me to the hospital, and then they set me down, do the x-rays, and they're like, oh, we got to rush you to the other hospital, do an emergency traction thing, whatever. That whole process, they're drilling stuff through my shin, putting a weight bag down there, stretching up, like realigning my bone before surgery, all that stuff. And then, after that, I didn't know when I was going to be back healthy. I didn't know if I was going to play football again. I didn't know what the deal was. And so I was pretty down in the dumps by myself. I wasn't doing nothing, playing video games all day, laying in my bed.
So it was funny because like I ended up going over to see him, and his mom's walked downstairs, and she goes, he didn't talk to nobody, right? And I said, all right, just give me 30 minutes. I went up to his room, sat down. I don't think we talked to each other for like 35 minutes. He didn't say, what's up? We just sat down. And then I'm ready to leave. I said, hey, I need 5 minutes of your time. And he said, all right. And I looked at him in his face and I said, ain't nobody gonna feel sorry for you. My exact words to him, ain't nobody gonna feel sorry for you. You gotta show them now more than ever. And that's when you started playing it over in your head, like, I don't know how I got hurt. So now we lead to that process now, now that you knew that you had to get yourself back, right? Not only get yourself back, but you dropped so much weight. You had got up that whole season to 170 pounds, 75 pounds, and you was feeling good, looking good, moving fast. Then you got to redo all this all over, right? So that process right there is the grind that I don't think a lot of people understand after an injury, right? To piggyback off of that, I actually dislocated my hip, right? So I understand what that process was going through. So dislocated my hip playing football, not thinking I'm gonna walk again and having surgery. When an injury happened to you, I went back into training mode, right? And I don't think people understand that part, the process, right? Big shout out to Second and None Sports, Tyrone Nunley. I think he does a heck of a job, opening up that platform for, coaches and mentors like me to be able to open it up for athletes that we have around, from, beginner athletes to the elite athletes that want to play D1 basketball, football, whatever sport they choose. But that journey right there. So during that time frame, that month when they telling you you're not gonna be able to play your senior year, explain that before we get to college.
Yeah, I mean, the doctor told me I had 30% chance of playing football again, and then after my talk with Coach Mike, I kind of saw that as a challenge. He said, "You don't know if I'm gonna play again. If I do, I don't know if I'll be the same." And then he said, "Okay, it'll probably take over a year to recover fully." I said, "All right, cool." So we get to work. I'm back. I'm back in 4 months. I mean, my leg hurt. Like every day I was out there, my leg, I couldn't. I remember I'm out there. I'm out there running with the football team. We're doing our spring workouts, and it's the first day. And actually, let me backpedal. 2 weeks before I get cleared, or like a month before I get cleared, or something like that, Virginia Tech coach hits me up.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Hey, can you work out? Are you healthy enough? I'm like, no. I just started walking, but I'm like, okay, well, I got to do something. I wasn't getting many contacts from college coaches, and so he comes out there. I'm not even really able to jog. I got a limp when I jog, and so he comes out there to watch me work out. So I got an hour of pain, and that's something I had to say, okay, deal with. And so I did the workout, whatever. He goes back to Virginia Tech, calls me up and was like, "Hey, come down to campus. Can you come down this weekend?" I said, "Yep." Get down there, they offer me. And then, just went from there. I realized that, no matter what, it's going to hurt. So you better get used to the pain. Stop complaining about it. Don't worry about it. It's eventually you're going to get used to it. It may not go away, but you'll get used to it. Ended up playing summer basketball, training, Coach Mike. I'm out there running, and then the season comes around, and took off from there.
Yeah, it was funny because like Tyler and I talk every day, right? So I probably lost sleep, because because I knew what it was going to take to make sure that you didn't lose sight of your goals, right? It wasn't my goals, it wasn't your parents' goals, they were your goals. And that's when TB came in. He was just like, "Look, man, the same way we work, we got to teach them how to work, right? We can't be nice to them, we can't be nice to them." So, and there was a lot of times where I'm like taking the ball, I'm hitting you with the ball, putting bands on you. He was like, "Coach, I can't run on the turf." So I went out and bought trampolines, right? So I bought trampolines to be able to take that pressure off your knees, off your legs, so you still be able to get that motion back, right? Mm-hmm. So, which is good, because I think that, your senior year, we said, "Hey, show them that you can stay in the pocket." So now knowing that you had already committed, verbally committed to Virginia Tech, right? Knowing that was a school that, was giving you an opportunity, but at the end of the day, you wanted more, right? You knew off back, which is going to lead us into, getting into your college career. The school that you at now, that was your dream school, correct? Mm-hmm. So give us that journey, knowing your senior year that you just verbally committed to a school, and then knowing what your main purpose is, what you're trying to do. So how can you explain that to the people that don't understand that process that was going through your mind?
Well, from Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech,
yeah. Yeah, I committed to Virginia Tech. It's my first Power 5 offer, and I didn't know if I was going to get any more with my leg, and so I committed. And I did want to go there.
Correct.
I did want to go there, and then Coach D'Antonio called me from Michigan State. He was like, "Hey, you want to come take a visit?" And I wanted to go. I feel like, I went to several camps growing up, like throughout my freshman and sophomore year of high school. I went to Michigan State camps, and they were recruiting me. And Coach D'Antonio's younger brother was my basketball coach in high school, and so I feel like, I gotta at least test the waters. That was my dream, and so I wanted to go just take a visit. I wasn't gonna decommit right away. Like, I just wanted to go take a visit out of respect for the D'Antonio family, and also it was my dream school. So if I felt differently about where I wanted to go to college when I went there, I want to know because that's the next 4 years of my life. I can't waste it. So yeah, that whatever it happened, I ended up taking a visit, fell in love with it, and I wanted to commit, and so I did. And so yeah, ever since.
The grind started, man. You know what I'm saying? So, which leads, man, your high school career over. We're gonna just expedite this so we can get into your college, so we can get you up out of here, man, because I know your time is very valuable. Going into your freshman year was that year doing COVID. Finishing your senior year of college, right? High school. And so you was going into your ready to be a freshman in college, but it's in COVID year.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's explain that journey so we can get to what we got now.
Yeah, you go to college and you're at the bottom of the depth chart. Mm-hmm. And so it's a whole different mindset. Like, you're the guy in high school, you get there and, they really pay you no mind. I wasn't recruited by this coaching staff or nothing. And so I had to literally start from the bottom and work my way up. And so it didn't go as quickly as I would like it to, that I wanted it to, but, it took a couple years to get, to the point I am now. And, I'm still trying to keep climbing. And, yeah, it's a grind for sure. Starting out and you're in COVID, you're not able to work out, losing weight, we do get to football. I'm at the bottom of the depth chart. And then so since then, I just had to work my way up. And each year I'm climbing. And then, we're to the point now where I'm one of the older QBs. I might be the oldest QB in the room now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it's crazy how time flies, but,
Yeah.
Still got a lot of this story to write.
Talk about that. You came in, again, like you said, you were the man in high school. Y'all were the man. And then you started at the very, very bottom. Because I did the exact same thing when I went to Mason. And, a lot of people don't understand, how easy it is to quit at that point. Especially where you were. That's so easy to quit. You're not getting, anybody's not paying you no mind. You worked so hard. You were the man. So, a lot of people, if they're not humble, they got an ego, that would have crushed them. They're like, all right, cool, I'm done. I'm going to go somewhere where I can be the man, right? Mm-hmm. But you sat there and you worked and you grind. This was your dream school. This is what you wanted to do. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand. I think that's a different mentality than a lot of people have, right? That's a special switch to flip. All right, cool. I know what I know. I know what I want to do. I got to get to where I want to go here. And I feel like a lot of people would have taken that opportunity and be especially, again, how high up you were in high school, that ego thing, that's one of my most impressive things about you is you could have easily done that. You could have gone to VT. You could have gone pretty much, again, before your injury, right? You could have gone anywhere you want. And then you climbed back after your injury. Incredible. Then you climbed back when you got to Michigan State. Incredible, right? The way you're climbing right now. So I think that needs to be highlighted because that's something that a lot of kids, a lot of y'all watching this, you need to have that kind of mentality or realize you're not gonna be handed anything. You were not handed a thing, right? So I think that's really special, for sure.
Yeah, a lot of people need to, get a hold of and, get in their mind is that, yeah, you're not supposed to worry about what other people think about you, but there's not much things that feel better than proving people wrong.
Facts.
Right. And, I feel like it may be an issue that I have or something, but if you stick me at the bottom of something or you discredit me or you don't, you have doubts of me or something like that, I have an issue with wanting to prove them wrong.
Correct.
But at the same time, I see it as a challenge and, I don't fail a lot, so.
It's not failure, man. If you get knocked down, you get back up, right? And I think that's what's going to lead into the last little part of this podcast, man. You're going into your senior year. It's a very important year right here, right? Not only you going into your senior year, you have other guys that's been there going through this grind with you. A lot of those guys have, the receiving core guys, they have played with another quarterback, right? They have played with Peyton for those years, right? Peyton leads on his own journey, man. He's on another journey, right? So that gate is open, right? So now, leading into that, what's your chemistry? What is your mindset and what's their mindset on making sure that you guys can not only go here and prove to everybody that you guys can be, at the top of your, conference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, one, gotta secure this QB spot. We're competing for it right now, but I've got a 100% belief in myself, and I have a great supporting cast behind me. Feel like I can get it done. But yeah, I'm ready for that challenge first.
Gotcha.
And then, in football, every school has good athletes. Every school has good receivers, running backs, O-line, defense, and all that stuff. And so, I mean, I feel like we have what it takes to get where we want to. It's just a mindset that we need to have. Everybody needs to be on the same page where there's not a game that we're going to lose on the schedule. And so I believe that going into every season. And, I mean, the team will believe that. And I know that they'll get that off of me if they don't have that already. And, yeah, we're going to get this ball rolling because Michigan State coming this year.
And look, to be honest with you, man, I can't wait to see it. All last year I watched every game, with you playing or without you playing, just to see the different things of just being able to break it down, not only to continue to help you. Like, I've been there, Tyler's been there, everybody's been there. I mean, your supporting cast is crazy. Your family is just a crazy supporting cast, and all your friends too. I think it's going to be, a great show, that you're going to put on that turf, game in and game out. But like I tell you, the one thing, man, don't forget who you are. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Stay true to who you are. Let everybody around you understand that, you're not doing this for yourself. You know what I mean? But you're also trying to be the best version of yourself. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You got like, I don't know how many roster spots on each college team because it changes, what I mean? But I know that you're going to do the same thing you did your freshman year to your senior year of high school. Now you're a senior in college. And that mindset is to do whatever it takes to make sure your team is successful. Mm-hmm. And with that being said, man, I want to thank you, not only for being the first guest, on the actual podcast, to any other, athlete out there that's looking for an opportunity to come in here and share their story. Myself, Mike Nunley, and Tyler Benson, man, we two guys that want to let you guys' voice be heard. But I want to thank you, Noah, man, for coming in and doing this without, TV production. I think that none of this is possible too, man. I think that we got a great platform that we're trying to build, and we're just trying to create an opportunity for everyone. And I think with you, now I think it's just a connection that we've been knowing each other for going on 13 years, man. So it's been a long time. You get what I'm saying? But that's not the reason why we wanted to do this podcast with you. Your story is very unique, and I think people understand your journey is going to help the next kid that has the talent but not putting the work in. That has the size but not developing their skills. Mm-hmm. And I look forward to seeing what the rest of your off season is going to look like. You know what I mean? Every step of the way. Keep Coach Tyler and I informed on how you step. I'm gonna talk to you probably like twice a week anyway. But other than that, man, thank you for coming on. Anything you want to say to in the closing to the young athletes out here, man?
I mean, keep working. That's pretty much all I got. It's just, keep getting after it, keep working. Don't quit. And do what you love. Don't settle for nothing.
What you got, TV?
Keep grinding, bro. Take all the stories that we're gonna have here, but this story is a great one to start off with. It's one I was excited to start off with because it's so unique, it's so different. There's like 50 chances for him to just give up. Like, nah, I'm done, right? But take that, use it as powerful, and just see what he did, and be like, all right, cool. Like that's something to look up to. Like, oh, I can do that, right? So thanks for coming on.
We're not done yet, so
we're not done. We're just getting started, man. And like I said, man, to the next person that's going to be on the episode next, look forward to it. All right, cool. Yeah.
Peace. That's a wrap. Yes, sir.